ProspectorMetalsCorp.com is our website. In terms of our market cap, we're trading just under $10 million. We've got $2.5 million in the bank right now. We've got a portfolio of both gold and nickel projects, 15 in total.
Hi everyone, I'm Jim Paterson. I'm here with Alex Heath, CEO of Prospector Metals. Alex is one of the presenters today on a panel on critical metals. And I just want to jump right into it with you, Alex, and just tell us a little bit about how the company, and specifically the nickel projects you have, fit into the critical metals spectrum, and what you know about the supply-demand fundamentals and how you might fill that void.
That's a great question.
Thank
you. So Prospector Metals has a portfolio of projects in two main commodities. So we have about 7 projects on the gold side, but we've been getting more into the nickel side, which is a critical metal. The fundamentals for nickel right now are very interesting because of the increase in demand for EVs. Nickel being a critical component of batteries, and specifically for increasing how far EVs can go and how much energy that they can hold. So we're going to try and address that by making a nickel discovery in Canada.
Right. And then what's the supply-demand balance right now, or imbalance, in the next few years?
So the biggest demand for nickel comes from stainless steel production, which makes up about 70% of the demand, and EVs only making up about 10%. But what we've seen and what the expectations are from producers and from economists is that the demand for nickel, because of EVs, will go up by about a factor of 4 times in the next 20 years. So a huge increase in demand for nickel.
So making a discovery is not easy. And making a discovery of a project that might be commercial in a region of the world where they'll let you develop it gets even harder and harder. So talk about the team you have, some of the success your team members have had over the last 20 or 30 years, and why that's relevant.
Yeah, so we see that as a critical component, is having the right team, not just people, but also access to capital is a big component, knowing the right people who can get you projects. So it's a confluence of a lot of factors that come into making a discovery. Our team specifically has made discoveries in the past and have worked on nickel projects in the past in Canada. So we have a history of knowing what to look for, knowing where to spend money, knowing when to stop spending money, which can be a critical component.
But not only do they have experience in Canada, but they have experience globally.
Yeah, absolutely. So knowing where in the world to look for nickel. So we're looking for a specific type of deposit, which is a high-grade sulfur deposit. And those are very rare. There's maybe 10 places in the whole planet where you can find these. And so our team has seen these before. They worked for companies back in the late 90s. And luckily enough for us and for North America, there's 3 or 4 spots in the North American crust of the earth that has high-grade deposits. So that's what we're kind of focusing on right now.
So would you say then that the competitive advantage that Prospector has is the team and the strategy to acquire and advance specific types of nickel deposits?
Absolutely. Yeah, it's basically zeroing in on where these types of deposits might be found, and then knowing how to look for them. It's a needle in a haystack, and it's like a needle within a haystack within a needle in a haystack. So.
Are those 3 haystacks? That's cool.
Yeah.
And you did mention, obviously Prospector is a member of Discovery Group. That gives you access to capital. But in terms of the individuals at Prospector, aside from Discovery Group, you guys have amazing access to capital based on previous track records of discoveries and your work background as well. Maybe talk about that.
Yeah, so in terms of our team, we have 2 main guys that are really important for us are Rob Carpenter and Rob Rzdowski. Rob is known for the Coffee Gold discovery in the Yukon, 5 million ounce gold deposit. What people don't know is actually his career started with Western Mining. Back in the late 90s, he worked with Rob Rzdowski, and they were part of the nickel generative team in Canada. So they've seen a lot of projects, and they know how to make discoveries. On my side, I worked as an investment banker, so raising capital, knowing what the market's looking for, and how to raise that capital. Because you have to marry good projects with good people, and marrying that with money as well.
And timing.
Timing's everything.
Yeah, and in this case right now, the wind is at your back, as we say, in terms of nickel, copper, other projects as well. but this is the right time to be looking for those types of projects.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what we saw. So when we started out at Prospector, we were focused on gold mainly. But over the course of the last 24 months, we've seen opportunities specifically on the sulfur side, high-grade projects in Canada that no one else is looking for. Projects that Rob and Rob Brzdowski had looked at previously that are on open ground right now. So we decided, hey, what's the best use of capital given what the market is paying for? We saw that as the best use of our money, was to go and acquire and stake projects that we think are going to be worth many multiples of what we paid.
And people don't maybe understand that, but just talk about how staking it gives you maximum commercial flexibility, because you're not spending a bunch of money to acquire a project. You have a lower threshold, you have more options in terms of maybe finding a partner for that project, but you just have maximum flexibility. So maybe talk about that.
Absolutely. So if you stake a project, you pay tens of thousands of dollars to acquire big swaths of land, and there's no royalties, right? They're clean. Whereas if you were to acquire a project from another prospector or a different company, you've got milestone payments, you've got royalties attached to it, so they become a lot more expensive. They're encumbered right when you've acquired them, whereas ours are very clean.
Right. And in a tough market, those milestone payments are very
Absolutely.
difficult to come by.
Yeah, cash is, in these types of markets, cash is king.
Yeah, great.
Sounds like a lot, but we have a very mercenary approach to how we advance our projects. So if we're not seeing good results, we drop them.
The axe comes down.
Yeah.
Yeah. A critical element is knowing when to stop spending money.
Yeah.
Right? And maybe talk to us a little bit about the strategy where internally the projects are fighting for your dollars as well. Maybe talk about that.
Absolutely. So that's what I love about this company, is that every year the projects are fighting for that incremental dollar. We don't have hundreds of $1 million that we can just allocate to the projects. So we've maybe got $2-3 million. So that's when the cream rises to the top. The best projects are the ones that ultimately get advanced, and the other ones fall to the wayside.
Right. And so what's the kind of catalyst for the next 6 months, news flow? What do you think?
So we've got our portfolio of nickel projects in Ontario that we're advancing. So you should see some results on those in the next couple of weeks even. And we'll continue to add to our portfolio.
Awesome. Well, it's a pleasure.
Thanks so much, Jim.
Thank you very much.